As you can see, I have the Samsung Galaxy Note 10 Plus right here, and today I'm going to show you how to root the Exynos version, only the Exynos version in this tutorial. I'm going to show you how to root the Exynos version of the Samsung Galaxy Note 10, the Note 10 Plus, and the Note 10 Plus 5G. We're going to be doing this with the Magisk root method, and this tutorial requires you to have already unlocked the bootloader to the Samsung Galaxy Note 10. You have to have the bootloader unlocked already. So if you haven't already done that and you need some help, look in the video description for those of you who are watching this on YouTube, and you're going to find a link to the full tutorial, which I have published on my website. Not only will you find tips like how to unlock the bootloader there, but you're also going to find links to how to download Magisk Manager, how to download the Samsung firmware files, where to download Odin, all of the things that are required to gain root access to the Samsung Galaxy Note 10 series. So, now that we have that stuff out of the way, again, like I said, we're going to have Magisk Manager installed. I have that link on my website. I already have the bootloader unlocked. The next thing you're going to want it to do is to download the latest in your current version of Android for your specific device. I did a tutorial on this yesterday that showed you exactly how to do this and how to download the full firmware for your Samsung device. So I have already downloaded that, and I've extracted that file. When I extracted that file, like I showed you yesterday, it gives you 4 files. One of those files has the letters AP at the very beginning of the name. So just to show you where this file is. So I have downloaded the firmware onto my computer. I've extracted those files. Then I've taken the AP file, it's just one file of the 5 files that we downloaded, and I have moved it to my Samsung Galaxy Note 10 Plus. We need this AP file on our smartphone because we're going to use Magisk Manager to patch it, aka to install root. So before we do this, I want to warn you of the things to worry about root on the Samsung Galaxy Note 10 series. If you root this phone, you're going to trip Knox. Depending on where you are, this could void your warranty. Could prevent you from returning your device or getting a refund. Depends on where you live, what your state and country laws are. You should know what kind of rights you have in your country. However, when you also trip Knox, you disable some features on this smartphone. You disable things like Samsung Pay, and you disable things like Secure Folder. Anything that relies on Samsung Knox's security platform, you lose access to. Because, once Samsung sees that you've compromised the device, it's not going to continue protecting those because there's no sense. There's no sense in using a secure folder feature if the user or any apps on the phone has root access, because there is no secure folder. You can always access that file just by, using root access. So Samsung has disabled those features once you root it. If you're cool with that and you want to proceed, then we can continue with this tutorial. So like I said, we're going to move that AP file from our computer to the smartphone. We're going to open up Magisk Manager, and then we're going to tap on the install button. We're going to tap on install again, and this is where we can choose to download the zip if we wanted to install this in TWRP, but we're just going to root for now. So we're just going to tap the select and patch a file, and that's going to bring up the file manager. So from here, we're going to search for the AP file. So if you have it in a different folder, then you can grab it there. If not, I put it in the downloads folder so it's easy to find. All we have to do is tap on that AP file. That's going to trigger Magisk Manager to start its patching process. And this is going to take a few seconds. It's not going to take long. It's going to result in a file being put on our smartphone called Magisk underscore patched.tar. It's going to be in the internal storage and in the download folder as well, which is another reason why I put the AP file there. You gotta remember this is a 5 GB file, so it does take a while for it to be patched, because it has to extract the contents of that 5 GB file, patch the code in a certain section of that, and then package it all back up into a usable TAR file for Samsung's Odin program. So rooting the Samsung Galaxy Note 10 series is going to force you to do a factory reset after we have installed the patched version of the firmware on our device. So before you do anything with Odin, I suggest that you back up as much data as possible. Just so that you can have that information or that data backed up for a quick restore after you boot back up into Android and activate the device. So we're about done with this patching. Like I said, this is going to output a file into our download folder that's labeled Magisk underscore patched.tar. We're going to be taking that file, so you can see right there, download/Magisk underscore patched. We're going to be taking this file and copying it off of the smartphone and back onto our computer so that we can load it into Odin. So as you can see here, this is the firmware that we downloaded that I told you about earlier. And when we extract those files, this is what we get. And then, like I said, we took that AP file, copied it to the phone, got us a Magisk underscore patched.tar file. And then we're going to take these files and put them into Odin to begin the flashing process. So we're going to be entering 4 files in here. You can see each one of these has a couple of letters in front. So for BL, I'm going to add the BL file. And then for AP, I'm going to go in and add the AP file, but instead of the AP file, we're going to be adding the patched file. And that's because this patched file is actually the AP file, but it just has Magisk and root installed. And then we're going to add the CP file and the CSC file. So then we're going to add the CP file there. And for the CSC, you're going to want to add the home_CSC file right there. So here is our Odin setup. Again, our smartphone is in download mode. We've added the BLCP and home_CSC file, as well as the Magisk tar file. You need to look into this options tab and make sure the auto reboot option is not checked. This is very, very important. Once all of that is set up, we're just going to click on Start right here to begin the flashing process. You're just going to want to be patient right here and wait for Odin to flash all of these files to our Samsung Galaxy Note 10 or our Note 10 Plus, or even the Note 10 Plus 5G. We're just going to be patient until this green bar fills up, and then we see a pass screen, or a pass message. This has taken just a few minutes to complete. The time it takes for you will depend on how fast your computer is and what type of USB version that you're using. Now this next step, again, just like with the tab and telling it to not auto reboot, is very important. So let me show you how this next part works. So like I said, this part is very, very important. What we're going to be doing, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do first. We're going to be forcing the Galaxy Note 10 to restart. And we're going to do that by pressing and holding the volume down key and the power button, the side key, for more than 7 seconds. After those 7 seconds, we're going to see the Galaxy Note 10 reboot. And as soon as the device reboots, we need to press and hold the power key and the volume up key at the same time. We're going to see a warning screen. Actually, we're going to see 2 warning screens, and then it's going to go back to that first warning screen. And this whole time, we're going to be pressing and holding both the power and the volume up buttons. So let me show you how that looks. So we're going to be forcing the reboot, so volume down and power. Device reboots. Now we're going power and volume up, both at the same time. There's the warning, and then back to the first warning, just like I said. We're continuing to hold these 2 buttons. So after holding those 2 buttons down the whole time, we are now booted into recovery mode. And now we actually want to do the factory reset. So we're going to scroll down, make sure the wipe data and factory reset option is highlighted. And then we're going to press the power key to select that option. Then we're going to see this confirmation screen. And yes, it's no problem. Once that has been done, you can see we're back to the recovery screen, and that's going to highlight the Reboot System Now option by default. So from here, we're just going to press the power button to select that option. And that's going to reboot our Samsung Galaxy Note 10. And it's going to boot us back into Android. Now we're just going to be doing this to activate the phone real quick. You are not going to see Magisk installed after we do this. And that's because there's actually multiple ways to boot the Samsung Galaxy Note 10 after Magisk is installed. So what happens is if you let the Samsung Galaxy Note 10 reboot or, start up normally, this happens at every single restart. If you just let the phone start up on its own, then it will start without loading Magisk. Even if you have Magisk Manager installed, if you just let the phone start up like we are right now, not holding any buttons, just letting the phone boot up on its own, then it's not going to load Magisk. We actually have to press and hold a couple of buttons for a few seconds during the boot process in order to signal the recovery to actually load Magisk. And I'll show you how to do that once we get this phone set up and activated. And you will notice that this first boot cycle will take longer than normal. That's completely normal. And that's just because not only does Android have to set stuff back up, but Samsung's One UI has to set stuff back up as well. So after a minute or two of this splash screen, we're going to be taken to the Android activation screen. And then from there, I can show you that the device boots normal, and then show you how to boot the device so that Magisk loads. And this is only in a different language for me. It's not going to be in a different language for you unless your device comes from a country where English is not the default language. So I'm going to set this up real quick and then I'll be right back. Alright, so I have booted into Android. I just went through and skipped most of the Android activation stuff. Got to the home screen, and then I searched for and downloaded and sideloaded the Magisk Manager APK file. Now I did that just so that you can see whenever I open Magisk right now, it's going to tell me that Magisk is not installed. However, we both know that Magisk is installed. We just flashed a patched image to the device. We just haven't booted with Magisk. So let me show you how to do that. So we're going to be turning off the device, just the complete power off. Now, we're going to be pressing and holding the power and the volume up buttons at the same time. Remember, that's going to show us a warning screen. It's going to flash over to another warning screen, and then it's going to take us back to that first warning screen. So as soon as we go back to that first warning screen, I'm going to let go of these two buttons. So check it out. So power and volume up. Warning screen, warning screen, warning screen, let go. Now what we have just done is we have told the Samsung Galaxy Note 10 to load Magisk, which we're doing through the recovery. And this all has to do with how Magisk is being installed to the recovery, at least in this release of Magisk. And it's something we have to do now. We always have the ability to boot into recovery mode. Still, we just continue holding those two buttons through that third warning screen. But as long as we let go of these two buttons when we go back to that first warning screen, when we go back to the third warning screen, then, and only then, will Magisk actually load. So as you saw before, Magisk was not loaded. So whenever I opened up the application, it said Magisk was not installed. This time, I'm going to open up Magisk, and bam, we can see that Magisk is now up to date. So the last bit of information that you'll want to know about is whenever you boot the Samsung Galaxy Note 10 with Magisk installed for the first time, and the first time only, you're going to see this screen right here that's saying that Magisk requires additional setup. So we're going to be tapping on yes right here, and it's going to reboot our device. And if you remember, just like before, we need to load Magisk during this boot. So we're going to be pressing these two buttons. Warning, 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 let go. Now you don't have to make sure this boots with Magisk after that additional install stuff happens. But you do have to do it if you want Magisk to be loaded. So you can see we have Magisk installed. It's all set up. We can even do a safety net check. And that is how to gain root access to the Samsung Galaxy Note 10, the Note 10 Plus, and the Note 10 Plus 5G. This is only for the Exynos version, and we are rooting with Magisk.